Okay, so we're gonna go and try to show you all the options of what it takes to finance a $1 million home in Langley, and it has a basement suite of $1,200. So because it's $1 million or under, we're going to be able to try this first at 5% down. So how much money do you need to make at 5% down to qualify? So I'm just going to write this down, 5% down. I'm going to also assume great credit. Great credit. So in order to do this, we're going to go off something called qualifying rate. So here's all these qualifying numbers. So we're trying to figure out what incomes you need. So the qualifying rate, even though your rate's going to be way lower than this, we're going to use the benchmark rate of 4.99. We're going to use an amortization of 25 years or 300 months. And then we're going to use, and this is more income calculations, like what percentage of our income can we use to finance this property. So in this scenario, without going into great detail, in a nutshell, we can use either 39%, we basically can use 39%, and the TDS is something else, and that's a 44. Same sort of idea in terms of income calculations, but anyways. So the rental offset, so if you own other rental properties and you're doing 5% down, they're only going to credit you 20%. And then basement suite, so this basement suite that we have for $1,200 a month, at 5% down, they're only going to credit you at 20%. So when you're dealing with rental incomes at 5% down, it's not good. So what I'm going to do here is add a subject principal residence. So let's type this Langley property, the name. And so we got 5% down at $1 million, so that's $950. Plus we have a CMHC fee of like 4%. So that means we're basically borrowing like $980-ish. No, 5% down, that's right, 980. Let's just do 90 approximately. This is all approximate. So the rental income in the property is $1,200. The qualifying mortgage payment, this is not your mortgage payment, but the qualifying one at 4.99 is $5,723. We have to factor in heat of $150 a month. There's no strata, and the taxes, I think, were about $400 a month because the suite was legal. So that was basically recorded, which increases the taxes. So we actually have a monthly liability to cover with your personal income of $6,000 a month. So this is like a car payment, $500 a month, but instead of a car payment, it's actually a mortgage qualification payment, so $6,000 a month. So what does $6,000 a month look like in income? Well, it actually turns out to be $185,000 a year. You need to make $185,000 a year to buy this property at 5% down, assuming you have great credit. Now, let's see what happens. So I'm just going to copy this worksheet, and this is going to copy all these numbers. I'm going to say instead of having great credit, we're going to have good credit. So that means credit that's less than 688. So now the GDS goes to 35 and the TDS goes to 42, and that's the only difference. So now what happens? We now need an income of $206,000 to live in a house in Langley at 5% down with okay credit. So that's just what the numbers are. Now, are there other options? And you better believe there are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go copy worksheet. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about 20% down with one of the, basically a bunch of the big banks. And I'm going to assume that you have great credit. Actually, I'm going to assume from now on you have great credit all across the board. So 20% down, I'm going to go talk about big bank. So one of the big five banks, qualifying rate, especially after January 1st, is going to be 4.99. The amortization gets extended from 25 years to 30 years. So now we got 360 months. The GDS, TDS, I'm going to use 4444. And the rental offset, so I'm going to use the worst one out of the top 5 banks in Canada. The rental offset that they're going to use is 20%. And believe it or not, the basement suite they're only going to use also is 20%. So now I'm going to scroll down here. Now remember this, sorry. Because we're using the big bank now 20% down, our mortgage will go down to $800,000. So I'm just going to show you some real numbers. So now that means the income that we need to require is $125,000, obviously with a bit less mortgage. That just sort of makes sense. So it's significant, but not that significant. Well, actually it is significant, sorry. So now the next thing I'm going to do, that's a big bank. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this worksheet, And instead of doing a big bank, I'm going to do the best credit union. And this is where it gets interesting. The qualifying rate drops to 3.69. Amortization goes to 360 months. GDS TDS goes to 44.44. And rental offset goes to 80. And the basement suite offset goes to 80. So they're super friendly in terms of how rental incomes are looked at. So now let's go here. $800,000, $1,200 a month. The qualifying payment is 3678. You got heat and taxes. We're now only having to qualify for $3,200 a month, which requires an $89,000 mortgage. So if you're wondering if your mortgage broker, whoever you're working with, is putting you into credit unions, this is why. So look at this: 5% down, $185,000. 5% down with good credit, $200,000. 20% down big bank, $125,000. 20% down with a credit union, $89,000. Now, is there other ways to buy this? And yes, there is. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of work here, but what I can do is I can actually buy this thing as a rental if I wanted to. So I'm gonna do a copy worksheet. 20%, I'm gonna use the most, the best place to borrow the money for a rental point of view, which would be a credit union. And 20% down credit union, and I'm gonna buy this as a rental. So 3.69, that's fine. 36 year, 44.44. Rental offsets 80 and 80. So now I'm just gonna look at this property itself. I gotta so I'm gonna do add subject rental. So we're gonna copy this. Langley property. Now, the difference here is though, we can't do 20%, we have to do 25%. So that means we need $250,000 down. So here's $750,000. The rental income is not $1,200 a month anymore. Because we can rent the top as we're buying it, so it's probably about $2,200 for a top. That means we are getting about $3,400 rent total from this. And heat taxes, 400. So now, I'm just going to delete this property here. This property in itself, when you actually buy it as a rental, creates $1,100 a month liability, which equals $30,000 a year worth of income. Now, are you thinking, hey, I can now buy a property with 25% down and all I need is make is $30,000 a year? That's only true if you actually live at home with your mom and dad and you bought a rental and you weren't paying rent to them. That is theoretically possible, and it's been done. Now, most likely, most people are not in that situation, but that's definitely one of them. So I'm going to actually put this as 20% down rental credit union, living at home with mom and dad. So now I'm going to copy this again and then get rid of the living at home with mom and dad. And actually, you're living somewhere like you're living in another property and you're paying a mortgage, et cetera, et cetera. So what they're going to do is we're going to add a non-subject principal residence. So this is going to be your house. So now this just depends. What's your mortgage payment on your property? Maybe it's $1,600. You have a $300,000 mortgage. Let's just see what happens if it's that. $1,600. You pay taxes of $300. Maybe yeah. Here, at $1,600, it's $300 a month in taxes. In this scenario, you have to cover this $50,000. This property creates a $50,000 income requirement. Then you add your $30,000 for your rental. So this is sort of an idea. Like if your payment here was $2,300, then this number goes up much more. Now you need $100,000 combined. So there's a lot of ways to, I would say, finance properties, but this is pretty much what I do for a living. I literally go on here and I analyze all these structures and figure out what the best way to buy properties are. So if you're wondering how this is done, this is pretty much what I do. So look at that range. This range is so crazy. $200,000 for the worst. Technically, if you live at home and you buy you're buying a rental, you can get it done for 30 grand, this specific property. So anyways, this is what I'm just showing you. Hope everybody has a great day.